Yeah, what up everybody? It's your boy Bright here, the R&B kid, and you're tuned in to On the Bright Side. On this channel, I talk all things music and entertainment, always keeping things positive and finding the bright side of everything. And on today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Jhené Aiko's new album, Trip. You ready? Here we go. Alrighty guys, so Jhené Aiko is an alternative R&B artist who debuted early in this decade. Her first project came out back in 2011. It was called Sailing Souls, and then her next EP after that was called Sail Out, followed by her debut album Sold Out, which came out in 2014. Jhené Aiko is an artist that I love. She's a part of the new generation of like alternative R&B artists that pretty much came after Drake. She's been doing her thing. She's really been underground for the most part, but she's had her moments. You might know her song called The Worst. That was a really big hit for her. But yeah, she's known pretty well, but she's a great artist. To me, she gives me like our generation's Sade. That's the vibes that Jhené Aiko gives me, and I've always loved her for that. She has really ethereal, late night, smoothed out R&B, trippy, vocals mixed with like, hazy, late at night, low-key R&B instrumentals. So she's a dope artist in that right, and I was so excited to hear that she came out with this new album. Okay, so on this album we have a lot of people that she's worked with before. We have the Fisticuffs. That's pretty much her main production team that she's worked with since the start of her career. They've also worked with Miguel and Jasmine Sullivan as well. Their expertise is in that late night, smoothed out, trippy R&B vibe, and they're on this album as well. I want to say they produced about third to half of the tracks. We also have Dr. Genius, who is her ex-husband. He's on this album as well. He did some tracks for her. So shout out to people that can make it work, even after all they went through. We also have No ID here as well. No ID is pretty much the guy who signed her to Def Jam. So he produced a track on this album. We also have Key Wayne on this album as well. Key Wayne is like one of Big Sean's main producers as well. So those people that she's worked with before. In terms of new people, we have Amir Johnson, who's also another of Big Sean's main producers as well. No surprise there. We have Amir Johnson. We have Benny Blanco, Cashmere Cat, and Frank Dukes. They produced the track. And we also have Molly Music as well. Molly Music is an urban contemporary R&B / gospel artist who worked with Jhené Aiko on a song that came out 2 years ago called Contradiction, and the chemistry in that song was really good. So I'm glad to see that they're collaborating again on this album. He produced 2 tracks of this album, and I love both of those tracks. In terms of the features on this album, we have Big Sean. Like I said, no surprise there. 2088, which is the group that is her and Big Sean, Jhené Aiko and Big Sean. It's the group that they created last year. They released an album last year called 2088 after their group name, and it's a great project. I recommend checking that out. I love that album. We also have Sway Lee here on this album. Corrupt. Dr. Chill, who I believe is her father, I think. Namiko Love, which is her daughter. And Brandy and Molly Music. So a lot of great features on this album. For people that know me like really well, they know that Brandy is one of my favorite artists in the entire world, and you guys will get to know that as you'll start seeing a lot of my channels, my video. Brandy is the artist I love. Pretty much my favorite artist of all time, low-key. So when I saw that she was on this album, I was lit. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, Brandy, what's with this album? What? Let's go. Brandy, like, that's how excited I get about Brandy. Like, y'all don't understand. If y'all don't know who Brandy is, if y'all don't know Brandy's music like that, go check it out. But anyways, back to Jhené Aiko. She has Brandy on a song called Ascension on this album, which I love as well. So yeah, a lot of great features on this album and a lot of producers. I think the first thing to note about this album just in general is how long it was. It's about 1 hour and 25 minutes. And also the fact that she surprise released the album. She dropped it out of nowhere. No one knew this album was going to drop when it did this past Friday. People knew the album was coming. She had announced the title and that she was working on it. And she also put out a, I guess like a mini movie for the album. last week. So, you know, people knew this album was coming, but no one actually knew she was just gonna drop it out of nowhere. So that was dope that she did it. But at the same time, I also think it kind of worked not in her favor, pretty much, because I don't think Jhené Aiko is the type of artist that I think could afford the luxury of just dropping an album out of nowhere and having, you know, a lot of sales and a lot of, you know, recognition for the album. You know, she's been getting good reviews for the album, but I don't think as many people knew this album was out compared to if she had been really working with her label to really roll out a smart plan for, you know, promoting and releasing the album. So while I was pleasantly surprised when I saw this album dropped, I was kind of disappointed because I felt like there were not going to be as many ears on it as I would have liked if she had really like prepped, you know, the release in advance. But nonetheless, it's a good project, you know, even with all of that in the equation. So like I said before, she released a mini movie to precede the album last week, also called Trip, and that movie was kind of a mini movie based on a plot of her being this character named Penny, who was a girl who just lost her brother. And that is actually true in real life for Jhené, because she actually did lose her own biological brother in 2012 I think he had a brain tumor. And it's something that she talks about all the time in a lot of her music. And pretty much the movie was based on her being still trying to find herself after losing her brother. And she meets this boy like on a beach, and they like go on this road trip together. So there's a theme of that with the road trip, and you know they get high all day every day, so they're on constant psychedelic trips. So there's that, there's that piece as well. And pretty much she had just a bunch of poetry all throughout the movie. She wrote a lot of poems, kind of like on a I want to say like on a For Colored Girls, type format. Kind of like on a Poetic Justice format. That's kind of what it was like. It was a movie with like tons of poetry spoken throughout the film. It was a good film. I thought the poems she wrote for that movie were dope. They were really deep and really impactful. Yeah, so jumping into some of my favorite tracks off this album, I really tended to like a lot of the songs on the album at the very beginning, at the very end. I don't know why, but it just happened to be like that. I really enjoyed the track While We're Young. That was actually the first single off of this album. I think it dropped back in June or July, and I've loved it ever since it came out. The video was really funny. If you've ever seen the movie 50 First Dates, she pretty much modeled the plot of the video after that movie, which was about being this woman who has short-term memory loss, and every day she wakes up to be pretty much having her memory wiped, and every day is a new day for her. But she's in love with this man who takes care of her, but she's waking up to thinking he was a stranger every day, and he has to work to really make sure that she knows that he loves her, and that they're together every single day. And so it was a really funny video. I would recommend checking it out. But While We're Young is the first song off this album that was released as a single, and it's not really made any big waves like that. It's not really caught on like that, but I think it's a great track. I think it's a really lush song. I love the vocal arrangements and the hook. I think that's one of Jhené Aiko's biggest strengths, is the way she's able to arrange her vocals. I think she takes a lot of that from Brandy. I'm not trying to big up Brandy, even though she's one of my favorite artists, but Jhené Aiko has even said it herself that Brandy is someone that she takes after in terms of vocal stylings and vocal arrangements. And I love the way she laid her vocals in While We're Young. That was a really lush track. I don't know if it'll become a hit or not, but I hope it does. It's a great song, but it probably won't become a hit. But I think that's a good choice for a single, and I love I just love the way it was so lush, and it just really it was really vibing. It kind of just like floated along really easily. So that was a nice track. Some of the other tracks I liked off this album were actually the tracks with Big Sean, and I know that's funny because they're dating now and stuff like that, but actually the tracks that he was on actually ended up being some of my favorite tracks off of the album. So Big Sean was on the 4th track off the album called Moments. That was one of my favorite tracks when I first heard the album. To me, that song gives me like new age R&B vibes. I just really I just think they sound great together. They have amazing chemistry, so I'm not surprised that they started a group, because they've always sounded great together. Even before they started dating, they just always had a great chemistry, and they always sound good when they collab. So I thought he brought a great energy to the song Moments, and I just love that track. And I also love the track after that called Only Lovers Left Alive. That song is credited to 2088, which, like I said before, which is the group that Jhené Aiko and Big Sean created last year. And I love that track. There's something about that track that took me back to the 80s. I think it's the way they structure the vocals in the hook and the talk box, which is kind of like the Zapp and Roger, I wanna be your man. If you know that song, you know what I'm talking about. That sounded terrible, but you know what I'm talking about. If you know that song, salute. But I think the talk box effect, the way they structure the hook, we're the only lovers left alive, hey, we're the only, no, let me stop. But I just think the way they structured that hook, and the talk box really took me back to the 80s, and also like the drum pattern, it just took me back to like a, you know, a late 80s early 90s sound that I loved. To me it's like a future retro jam. I really loved the track. When I first heard it, I wasn't really feeling it like that. It took me a while to get into, but once I heard it a few times, I was like, yo, this is a bop. Like it really just prods along, but it's a jam. I really think this song could really be somewhat of a hit if it's put out as a single or just, you know, promoted somehow. I think it's a hidden gem on the album, and I love, and like I said before, I obviously love what Big Sean brought to the track as well. Like I said, they sound great together. So that was one of my favorite tracks off the album as well. Shout out to Only Lovers Left Alive. We're the only lovers left alive, hey, we're the only lovers left alive. No, we stop. I'm done now, I'm done. So after Only Lovers Left Alive, yeah, the song that I really liked off the album right after that was When We Love. When We Love took me back to some of, you know, Jhené's older projects. It kind of took me back to her older sound before this album. I really love that song. It's really lush and vibey and smooth. I really love, I just thought it was a dope song. I really love the sax in the production. I love the saxophone. It just brings out a really chill atmosphere, and it's just really trippy, no pun intended. But I also love the vibey piano and the hard-hitting drums. I just thought it was a great produced record. Who produced it? Noah Cadistry. I don't know who that is, but shout out to him. He did a great job. That was one of my favorite tracks off the album. I really love when she does the AAs in the B section. Like, I just love Jhené Aiko's voice because it's so smooth and ethereal, and I think that song is a good example of what I love about her voice. When she does the if my voice is whack, I'm sorry, but when she does that part in the song, I love it. It's so smooth, and it just takes you to another place. But I love that song. Like I said, I love the sax, the vibey piano, the hard-hitting drums. It's just a smooth track. I love that song. Okay, so talking about some of the songs I really love towards the end of the album, I really love the track that she did with Brandy. Like I said before, I'm a Brandy stan till the day I die. So I've been waiting to hear this collaboration. I remember when I saw the track listing, I went off when I saw Brandy's name. I went off because Jhené Aiko and Brandy are two artists that pretty much since Jhené Aiko came out as an artist, I've been waiting to hear those two collab. Like I said before, because I know that Jhené Aiko pulls a lot of her artistry and vocal arrangements and stylings from Brandy, and because they're pretty much two of my favorite artists, I've been waiting to hear and hopefully hear that they were going to come out with a collaboration at some point. So I'm so glad they finally came out with a collaboration. It was dope. Obviously, Brandy killed her vocals, no surprise there, and Jhené Aiko held her own and did her thing on the record. I really wish Brandy's vocals were turned up a little bit more towards the end of her verse, but I still think she did a great job. Like I said, I've been waiting to hear that collaboration, and they killed it. And some of the other tracks I love off this album towards the end were the tracks that Mali Music produced. He produced a song called Frequency and Trip. So I really love the song Frequency. When I first heard it, I thought it was okay, but after I heard it like a second or third time, the song really hit me on a really deep level. There's just something about that song. I love that Jhené Aiko kind of took her own turn on a gospel record. For those of you who know who Mali Music is, he started out as a Christian gospel artist, but he's kind of like the R&B version of Lecrae. He's kind of transformed into now making more like non-religious, non-Christian, like regular urban contemporary R&B music, but he still incorporates a lot of themes of Christianity in his music, but he's kind of widened his scope. But his base and his foundation is in gospel music, and I love that he kind of brought that undertone of gospel music and those gospel vibes to this song, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool hearing Jhené just kind of sing over like a gospel-y song. On the song, she's talking about, Lord, like, feel my frequency, free, feel my frequency, let my free my seed, free my people. I forgot some lyrics, but it was just a really dope lyrical song talking about, you know, God and human frequencies, and how, you know, God freeing all of humanity and watching over your children and your family and your loved ones, and just taking care of the world and looking towards a brighter future. So that's pretty much what the song was talking about, and it was beautiful. It was like, I remember when I first heard it, I was like, yo, this is a great track. Shout out to Molly Music. He wrote it, so great lyrics, and Jhené did her thing. You just felt it. It was dope. I really love to hear songs like that you know, I feel like are really like hippie, and they're talking about something deep, but it also sounded timeless at the same time. You know, it sounds current but timeless, which I love, and I just thought it was really, you know, really vibey, but also really powerful at the same time. It had really powerful lyrics, and it just made you feel a certain type of way. Yeah, so I love that song. So lastly, some of the other tracks I really loved off this album that was sort of in the middle. I didn't really love this track, but I wanted to highlight it. The track with Sway Lee called Sativa. That song obviously blended into the themes of this album of, you know, going on a trip. So that was like the smoker's anthem song for this album. I thought it was cool. I didn't not like it. I thought it was cool. It kind of just floated along, and I was surprised to see this collaboration. I never thought I'd see them actually do a collaboration, but you know, I really think it worked. I remember when I saw the title Sativa, I was like, oh shit, Jhené Aiko's holding nothing back. Because if you know Jhené Aiko, you know she's an artist that is proud to be a weed smoker. She don't care. She's proud. And I saw the title Sativa. I said, oh god, here we go, Jhené. But no, I really liked it. I never saw the collab coming, and I thought it was good. I thought it was vibey. It kind of gave me like a 90s vibe, but coming into 2017. So I liked it. It was a cool little R&B bop. Could it be New Smoker's anthem? We'll see. I don't know. The song that came right after Sativa is another song that I really want to talk about this album, called New Balance. That song is amazing. I feel like that song is a song that could have, it sounds like it could have came out of, you know, any one of Jhené's earlier projects. That song to me is a typical Jhené Aiko song. Really vibey, late night, smooth song with a deep message. Something related to love and human connection. And I just thought it was a great song. On this song, she's talking about how a new lover in her life, or just a new person. I'm gonna assume a new lover in her life, just is the person that's finally bringing her, you know, her balance in her life, and just bringing her clarity, and just, you know, being that new entity in her life that's bring her full circle, and just making her feel whole again. And I just thought it was a beautifully written song, a great, beautifully written song. I really love the story of the song, and I thought it had, I just love her voice on that record, and I think that song is a great example of what I love about her voice. Like I kind of said before with another track, you know, there's something about the tone of her voice that I feel like is magical. Jhené Aiko doesn't have a really powerful, big voice, but her tone is very unique, and it's a tone that I feel like you can recognize anywhere on anybody's track. And it is, I feel like, especially when you might, if you're under the influence, or if you're just at that, you know, if you're just at the crib chilling, there's something about Jhené Aiko's voice that I just feel like is so great to listen to late at night, or just when you're chilling. It's just a, you know, I love her voice, and that song is a good example of, I think, you know, it's a good example of the beauty of her voice, and how calm it is, and how piercing it can be when she's really using her voice to talk about deep subjects, such as someone bringing you completion into your life. You know, someone who's coming to life, bringing you wholeness and completion, and making you feel balanced again. So that was a dope record. I think it's gonna be one of her legacy records. You know, in terms of like her deep album cuts, I think it's a great song that'll be around for a while for her. I love the guitar solo in the song. I just thought it was really, you know, it was really classic. That guitar solo was nice to listen to, and yeah, I just love her voice in that record. I think that was one of the songs that caught me when I first heard the album as well. And one of the last songs I want to highlight off this album that I really liked was a song called Nobody. I really thought Nobody was a really great song with a great message. It was really vibey. I love the breakdown in the middle of the song, and to me, Nobody kind of gives me like a loner's anthem. And as someone I've considered myself somewhat of a loner at times in my life, so I related to that record. She's like, you know, she's on that song, she's talking about, I don't need nobody, I got myself. And it was, you know, it was done over a really like vibey R&B instrumental. So that was a song that, you know, piqued my interest when I first heard the album as well. So some of the tracks I wasn't really feeling off the album like that, were some of the tracks towards the middle of the album. Bad Trip Interlude, I didn't really like that much. I love the theme of the song, and I like how she acknowledged kind of going, she acknowledged the negative effects of going on a bad trip. And she also did it with a song before that called Overstimulated. So I love that she exposed the negative side effects of sometimes going on a bad trip, and that when you're going on trips, when you're taking certain types of drugs, it's not always a good thing. So I like that she highlighted that topic. But I didn't really like the song that much. I didn't like the flute in that song, and it was a really short interlude. And so I like what she did with it in terms of the subject matter, but I didn't really like the song itself. And I also didn't really like the song Psilocybin, Love in Full Effect. That song featured her dad as well. I couldn't really get into the lyrics of the song. I just thought it was really abstract, and it wasn't really enjoyable for me. But I thought it had interesting stages. I like the song went in different stages, but I just wasn't really feeling the whole vibe of the track. But it had nice horn on the bright side. It had nice horns in the middle that I really liked. So that's what I did like about the track. But yeah, those are the tracks I wasn't really in love with that much off the album. Another song that I want to talk about, or I don't want to talk about fully, but I really also like the song Sing to Me with Namiko Love. That, like I said before, that's her daughter. It's not one of my favorite tracks off the album, but for some reason I can't get that song out of my head. I don't know what it is. I just think the way her and her daughter going back and forth saying "Sing to Me," it was such a nice piano. Shout out to Key Wayne on the piano. I just love that song. Sing to me, mommy, sing to me. Sing to me, mommy, sing to me. Like I probably look mad corny for singing it, but it was a really cute song, and like I can't get it out of my head. I don't know why. I think that piano that Key Wayne put on the song. I love Key Wayne. He's Big Sean's producer. I don't know. It's just something about that piano that can't get out of your head. Dun da 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 da. I love that song. That was really cute too. But yeah, overall, I really liked this album as a whole. I think the big point that a lot of people are probably talking about with this album is how long it is. And what I want to say about that is this album was really long. It was an hour and 25 minutes. And I know some people probably turned off by that. Double albums or really long albums seems to be the wave of the industry now. I think especially with streaming, everybody just wants to make really long albums that have a lot of tracks on them. Music Soul Child just came out with a double album. Jhené Aiko's album is 22 tracks long. Chris Brown is coming out with the album next month that's going to be 40 tracks long, I think. So everybody's coming out with long albums these days, I think because of streaming, to get those numbers up. But the thing about this album is that even though it was really long, I gotta admit, I don't think it actually felt as long as it actually was. I don't know. I listened to it twice actually, and in full. And the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, this is long, but it wasn't strenuous to get through. It was pleasant to get through. And I remember by the end of the first time and second time I listened to it, I was like, wow, that was an hour and a half, but it didn't feel that long. I think it's something about Jhené Aiko and the fact that a lot of these songs kind of had the same sonic, palette, and they had a lot of the same sonic textures, but there were so many cool themes in the album, and she used a lot of the different songs to really weave together the theme of being on a trip. Pretty much the album is kind of like a movie about how it relates to her actual movie that she put out before, about her going on a trip with that dude. So you kind of hear bits and pieces of that movie throughout the album, so the album kind of plays like a movie itself. So I think that's what kind of helped bring it along. And she's talking about going on a personal trip in terms of being psyched out from the death of her brother, going on a psychedelic trip by being under the influence of drugs. So she really weaved in a lot of themes about going on trips. So it was a good body of work, and it was really creative the way she put the album together. It was long, but me personally, I don't feel like it was too long to the point where I was like annoyed by it. Maybe that's just because I'm a big fan of Jhené Aiko, but I think even if you're not a big fan of Jhené Aiko, and even if you don't like listening to the album in one sitting, I think you can definitely enjoy the tracks, especially by themselves. You can definitely enjoy the tracks by themselves for what they are. But all in all, I thought it was a really dope project. I really thought it had a great flow. There were some tracks I didn't like that much, and I think that tends to happen naturally when you have a really long album. But I think for the most part she did a good job. I like that she worked with her usual guys to give her usual sound, but she also brought up some new people as well to give her some different textures, so I really liked that. I thought it was dope. Another track I actually want to talk about I really liked off the album was Mystic Journey Freestyle. I really like that song. That song was produced by No ID. Again, like I said before, my dude No ID is killing it with the beats this year. I love that track. That song was really like spacey, odd, blippy, synthy song. Really had odd production, but I loved it. It really worked for her. And I just love what No ID did on that song. I really wish it was longer too. I remember listening to it and I was like, damn, this song is so short. I'm feeling it. And it's so short. But, you know, I love that song regardless. But yeah, I really like this album as a whole. And I love the features. I love the production. And I honestly think it would have been like a perfect album if she had just taken out some of the tracks and made it more of a shorter album. It would have, she could have really come out with like a modern R&B masterpiece if she had, you know, really choosing, you know, pick and chose some tracks over others. But I think all the tracks, you know, were good. You know, were good on their own merit at the end of the day. So some of my favorite tracks off this album were, let's see, some of my favorite tracks were While We're Young, Moments, Only Lovers Left Alive. I love that song. When We Love, New Balance, Nobody, Mystic Journey Freestyle, Sing to Me, Low-Key, Frequency. I love that song. That's one of my favorites off the album. And Ascension with Brandy. Yeah, those are pretty much my favorite tracks off the album. The songs I didn't like that much were Bad Trip, Interlude, and Psilocybin, Love in Full Effect. But yeah, pretty good album overall. For my rating, I give this album a 4 out of 5. I've been giving all my albums 4 out of 5s lately, but this was a really good week for music. So shout out to Lettucey, Lecrae, Jhené Aiko. Some other albums came out this week too. But yeah, it's been a good week for music. A lot of good albums came out this week, but I give this album a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's also a really good project for what it is. Yeah, so let me know what you guys thought about this album down in the comments. Let me know what you didn't like about this album. Let me know what you did like about this album. Let me know the tracks you liked, the tracks you weren't really feeling. Let me know if you thought this album was too long, or you know, if it was just right. I'd be really interested to hear all of your comments. Please let me, you know, give me feedback on my reviews. Let me know if there's anything you'd like for me to talk about that I'm not talking about, or if there's anything I'm doing that you don't like. Let me know, and I'll try to see what I can fix for my future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I thank you guys for watching another episode of On the Bright Side. All right, this is your boy Bright, signing off.